Lightsabers are a renowned visual in Star Wars, and behind every among the Jedi weapons, there's a story or distinct significance. There is a light sword with a complete stranger and more complex story than practically any other, and it simply so occurs that this weapon reveals up in the last minutes of The Mandalorian Season 1. Ed. Note, this post contains spoilers for the entire first season of The Mandalorian. In the last scene of Chapter 8, we see Moff Gideon fire up a black-bladed lightsaber. Star Wars broadened universe fans understand this well. The weapon's name is the Darksaber, and prior to it remained in the hands of Gideon, it was among Mandalorian culture's most treasured weapons and artifacts. Obi-Wan Kenobi battles Pre Vizsla, owner of the Darksaber image, Lucasfilm. The Darksaber was developed throughout the guideline of the Old Republic by Tar Vizsla, the very first Mandalorian to ever sign up with the Jedi Order. The saber itself stood out from any other lightsaber at the time, or because the blade is angled like that of a basic sword. Its emitter was little and thin, once again imitating a sword blade. The Darksaber has a distinct black blade and is especially much shorter than the majority of lightsabers, though things like its size and strength can alter based upon its owner's feelings. The visit of Tar Vizsla is the very first Mandalorian Jedi suggested quick peace in between the two continuously warring factions. When Tar Vizsla ultimately ended up being the Mandalore, the ruler of Mandalore, he took the Darksaber with him back to his house world. The Jedi Order gathered the lightsaber upon his death and kept it in the Jedi Temple. The weapon was then taken from the temple by Mandalorians of Clan Vizsla throughout the fall of the Old Republic. Following its go back to Mandalorian belongings, the Darksaber ended up being a crucial status sign in Mandalorian society. The owner of the saber was mainly thought about to be the rightful leader of Clan Vizsla, among the world's biggest clans, and the leader of the Death Watch mercenary band. According to Mandalorian cultural custom, the only method to end up being the master of the Darksaber was to win it from its previous owner. This guideline of strength ultimately resulted in a really particular sort of problem in the type of Darth Maul, who took interest in the Mandalorians around the time of the Clone Wars. Maul challenged Pre Vizsla, owner of the Darksaber and leader of the Death Watch, to a battle. When Maul won, the Darksaber became his. Pre Vizsla image, Lucasfilm. Losing the Darksaber and the management that featured it to a non-Mandalorian was excessive for a few of the happy warrior race to bear, so they left from Maul's Mandalorian guideline and followed Bo-Katan Kryze. This tossed Mandalore into a state of civil war. Soon after, the previous Sith Lord fell at the hands of General Grievous and Darth Sidious. Neither of these two had interest in the Darksaber, so it was merely left on Dathomir, where the battle ended. Maul utilizing the Darksaber versus Darth Sidious image, Lucasfilm. Several years later on, throughout the days of the Galactic Empire, Sabine Wren, a Mandalorian weapons specialist, discovered the Darksaber on Dathomir. Sabine trained to utilize the saber under the tutelage of Ezra Bridger, and later on the Jedi Kanan Jarrus. When Sabine went back to Mandalore to assist stop the Empire from eliminating all of the staying Mandalorians, utilizing a weapon she herself developed, Sabine utilizes the Darksaber versus the Imperial soldiers. Sabine Wren with the Darksaber on Mandalore image, Lucasfilm. After driving the Empire back, Sabine offers the Darksaber to Bo-Katan Kryze, setting her up as the rightful ruler of the Mandalore after the reign of Maul's Death Watch ended with his death. This was the last recognized owner and area of the Darksaber till Gideon appears with it in this episode of The Mandalorian. This implies that there have to do with 8 years of Darksaber history that are unaccounted for. The good news is, Moff Gideon himself assists fill out those spaces by discussing them to the Mandalorian, whom we find out is called Din Djarin in this episode. According to the two of them, Gideon is an Imperial Security Bureau officer who appears particularly thinking about Mandalorian culture. It appears that Gideon was likewise associated with the Purge of Mandalore and the Night of 1,000 Tears, the time when the Empire desolated the majority of the Mandalorian homeworld. Gideon likewise discovers Din's name through the Resistors of Mandalore, the secret record of Mandalorian identities. Moff Gideon with the Darksaber in the last scene of Episode 8 of The Mandalorian. Image, Lucasfilm through Polygon. If Gideon is gathering the names of staying Mandalorians and is consumed with their warrior culture, it promises that he would have taken the Darksaber from Mandalore throughout the Purge. Now, together with searching down staying Mandalorians for the residues of the Empire, it's likewise possible that Gideon is attempting to show his own rightful ownership of the Darksaber. If it's a Mandalorian weapon that can just be made through fight. If he eliminates all the Mandalorians, it might just be his. Whatever Gideon's strategy, it appears clear that he'll be searching both Din Djarin and Baby Yoda throughout the second season of the program. And with the expose of the Darksaber, Din will have an effective brand new weapon to compete with and possibly ultimately wield himself.